Americans are not, in general, anti-government. Instead, they think their government can't perform the tasks that it should. The left offers heavenly versions of solution, and the right opposes them like they're the devil's work. This is immature. The public, us, need to demand that the left address program execution and the right do its part and explain how to right-size things. The infrastructure bill recently passed includes funding for high voltage electric grids, so prairie states with abundant wind and solar can fuel the rest of the country, a down payment. Now you can run safe, insulated high power lines overhead or bury them at 4 times the cost underground. Voters don't like running lines overhead if their area doesn't get most of it. The left may say, go underground, and the right says, go nowhere. So we'll end up with less than enough grid, too much underground, eating up investment, taking longer to deliver, and with constant opposition. The left needs to explain streamlined, efficient execution, not talk about pie in the sky, green futures. The right needs to explain how to avoid excess construction costs, not claim it's all political pork. So people see hospitals, public hospitals, usually run by local cities and counties. Most would prefer to go to an HMO funded by insurance. They extrapolate this to Medicare for all, assuming it would downgrade hospitals to the level of public ones. The left says, no, everything will be at the best, highest standard. The right shouts, we're all going to die. This is immature. It's about execution. It took a decade to hire 100,000 employees to get TSA up and running. It took 2 years to get the ACA's website rolling. These are small efforts compared to rewiring US healthcare. The left should be laser focused on how to execute a gargantuan effort, not on the heavenly benefits it'll provide. The right should explain how programs can roll out at reasonable speed in phases, learning by doing without replacing things too fast, not death panels and socialism. Almost all federal initiatives operate through state governments, a massive blind spot for many progressives. America's underpopulated rural states, especially the numerous prairie states in the middle, are vastly less capable. Their leaders embrace anti-government ideologies, and this camouflages the fact that their state's workforce can't deliver modern government services well. Federal dollars attached to federal programs channel through these governments. Is it surprising if red state Republicans don't admit we lack the capacity and instead yell, these are bad programs? They know coastal states will exploit the dollars and use federal programs to improve their citizens' lives. So combine lack of capacity with envy and voila, recalcitrant opposition. So conservatives should promote grouping underpopulated states to have regional execution and gradual rollouts in them that permit learning by doing. Americans hear about early childhood education, which sounds good. But who will get hired? How will they be trained? Where will they operate? Even in effective states, the concern isn't with the idea, but execution. The public should accept this is an important project, but the public should demand to know how it'll work. Claiming they'll be state of art isn't an answer. In fact, it's a problem. Many government initiatives go all out on bells and whistles. It's not enough to get a 180-mile-an-hour train between San Francisco and LA. It has to be elevated the whole way, especially costly because it's earthquake country. And it has to have big stations in little places and go 220 miles an hour. So no wonder it costs 3 times more per mile than what high-speed rail costs elsewhere. It's not labor, corruption, lawyers, it's overbuilding. Yes, elevation avoids some messy rights of way, but it's much more expensive than buying the rights. And opponents don't say, let's be realistic and have trains that run at ground level at 180 miles an hour, like in Europe. They say government can't do it. It costs too much. It's a boondoggle. Governments do it all over the world. It costs too much because it's overbuilt. Ditto the New York City subway, where news stations are little palaces, 3 levels connected by elevators. That costs 3 times what stations cost elsewhere because those other stations are single level. So I blame the left for not addressing execution, and I blame the right for not explaining how to avoid the problems. We need leaders who don't promise the sky, but don't say the sky is falling. The country's roads and bridges aren't collapsing. They have structural deficits. Often what's needed is not a shiny new bridge, but a retrofitted one. But if there's one thing government leaders of both parties agree on, it's the desire to see a project go big. That shouldn't be a conservative position. The right has abandoned conservative principles in the way they oppose this kind of government infrastructure. The conservative ethos should try to decelerate but not stop deployment to avoid unexpected consequences. It's bad faith to challenge early childhood education or paid family leave on ideological grounds. Instead, it should downsize extravagance, not eliminate important things. It should right-size platforms, not reject them. The left thinks they can motivate the public if they promise the best of times. The right thinks they can scare the public by claiming it's going to be the worst of times. This is our fault, the public's fault. Anyone with a college degree or life experience should either understand conceptually or know in their bones that it's about execution, not ideology. If we don't demand how things are done gets addressed and only talk about what should or shouldn't be done, it's our fault if political debate is immature. It's much easier to express easy positions of all or nothing when what's really needed is how to work through the problem. Thank you.